I call the whistle.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. It actually is a privilege to speak on this bill, the New Zealand Flag Referendums Bill, proposed by the Honourable Bill English. And I do so, I guess, acknowledging that this is the beginning of the end of the $3.9 million constitutional conversation that Bill English actually oversaw. And in fact, what's really interesting about that constitutional conversation is that Mr English said, and I quote, if there was to be any significant change, it would either require broad cross-party agreement or the majority support of voters in a referendum. So the mandate for this piece of legislation comes from the other issues section of the recommendations of that constitutional conversation that said the role and functions of the head of state plus symbols of state. I presume that's where the mandate for this comes from Bill English's perspective. The reality of the question, are you in favour of changing the New Zealand flag? Actually, New Zealanders have been asked that question. On the 27th of September last year, One News, over 1,000 voters, 65% of New Zealanders said no. On the 25th of February 2014, again they were asked that question, a bit earlier in the process, 72% said no. And if we look 10 years ago in 2004, 58% said no. So maybe there was a little bit of window in 2004, and that was on the end of the Don Brash Orewa speech and the foreshore seabed legislation. But what I want to contribute is, in fact, the flag that we're discussing today is actually the third flag that this country has had, Mr Speaker. The first flag actually was the flag of the United Tribes of Aotearoa. So on the 20th of March 1834, 25 chiefs in New Zealand asserted our sovereignty as a nation for the very first time. And that was our first flag. On the 6th of February 1840, our flag changed again, and it did become the Union Jack, because guess why? We signed a treaty with the British. And so New Zealand became part of the British Empire. And the flag that we have today, we adopted under the Ensign and Code Signals Act of 1902 in recognition of the 6,500 New Zealanders that went and fought in the Boer War between 1899 and 1902. Very significant event, because it was the first time as a country we had actually asserted ourselves internationally, not as British citizens, but actually as New Zealand citizens. So significant events have happened for us to look at our flag. And my question is, has a significant incident happened for us to be debating this today? It's going to cost the country $26 million. And as my colleague Stuart Nash pointed out, we've got a whole lot of other things that we'd rather spend $26 million on. So for the government to make this their priority, I guess we're a bit dumbfounded on this part, or this side of the House. So why change the flag? Actually, there has been a history of MPs wanting to change the flag. So in 1979, National MP Alan Higgitt, thank you, Grant. Thank you, I was worried about that pronunciation. He was the Minister of Internal Affairs. He wanted to change the flag. And guess what happened? There was no interest. Not interested in changing the flag. In 1988, Labour MP Russell Marshall, he was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he mooted a change in the flag. Did New Zealand support him? Of course they didn't. In 1992, the leader of Mana Motuhake, Maturata, Minister of Māori Affairs, he mooted to change the flag. And for him it was about our Indigenous culture, our Indigenous identity. 98, National MP Marie Hasler, Minister of Cultural Affairs, she wanted to change the flag. No traction, no one wanted to do it. 2004, Lloyd Morrison started the NewZealandFlag.com, and he wanted to initiate a citizens-initiated referenda to change the flag. Only 100,000 New Zealanders signed that flag. They needed 270,000, so it failed. And today we have National MP John Key, Minister of Tourism, National Security Intelligence and Ministerial Services. He wants to change the flag. If he really wants to change the flag, why don't he go through a citizens-initiated referendum? He only needs 330,000 signatures to do that. But what's he doing? He's using the privilege of government to push this through. And I think it's absolutely appalling at a time when child poverty is what it is. And for this government to abuse that power is absolutely disgusting. Kia ora.